Hey guys, today's video is about a soil supercharger, and this is something you need to do before you start planting all your vegetables this year. It's going to make a huge difference in your garden. As I said in my last video, I have over 30 different experiments I've done across the entire garden, whether it's from seedlings to soil, and this particular one is a soil supercharger. It's going to make your soil so much better. It will allow more nutrient uptake, and it's really simple to do. This doesn't require hardly any effort. Matter of fact, it just is so easy to do. I would say it's probably one of the easiest things I've ever done to improve the soil in my garden. So I haven't started moving my vegetables out of the greenhouse yet. Most of it have been moved around away from the hottest parts of the greenhouse, so I will be moving them out into the garden pretty soon. But before I do that, I want to make sure I do the soil supercharger method, and I would recommend you do it to your garden too. It's going to make a huge difference whether you're growing in planted beds, direct ground planting, or even in pots. So take a look at how easy it is to make this, and you'll be amazed. About mid-season, you're going to see a huge difference in your garden. It will absolutely make your garden explode with growth. So guys, this soil activator or soil supercharger, I'm going to tell you, it is super simple to do. It just involves unsalted rice. You have to make sure that there's no salt added to your rice, because you're going to have the complete opposite effect on your plants. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use it and how to incorporate it into your beds or your potted plants wherever you're growing your vegetables this year. And this will also work on ornamentals as well, but I'm focusing this on my vegetables. Now, I have moved all my seedlings out of the greenhouse because we're having an unusually large and hot early spring. It's been a lot of high pressure, and I guess that's what they say when there's going to be a lot of weather change coming up. So I moved them into the potting shed to get them out of the really hot greenhouse, because I don't want any wilting or die off in my seedlings before there's time to go out to the garden. So let's talk briefly about this. I think it's going to be something you absolutely want to do. It'll make a huge difference in your garden, as I said just a second ago. Now, I'll show you each one of these steps, but I want to show you what we're working with first. Uncooked rice. Make sure again that there's no salt added to any one of these, or you could kill your plant very rapidly. But just uncooked rice, cooked rice, and rice that's been soaked in water for about an hour to an hour and a half. So these 3 methods are going to have different applications that we're going to use in the garden, but we're going to have all the same effect. It's going to be nutrient rich soil. It's going to help attract more earthworms to your garden, and it's going to change the structure of your soils. I'm going to go through each one of these and tell you exactly how to apply it to your garden. I'll probably apply a couple of these just as a demonstration, but again, this is something you want to do in your potted as well as raised gardens or ground level gardens as well. So this is something that'll make a huge difference. Now, first I want to talk about what is contained in the rice water, and rather than me just going over each item, I'm just going to put it on the screen right here so you can understand that rice water itself contains a lot of really beneficial things that are going to get into our soil at the base of our plants, and it's going to help the soil. So take a look at that list, pause the video, and you can understand why this is such a rich thing to add to your soil. Now, this has only been in here for a couple of hours, but what I wanted to talk about is you can use a standard rice water, or you can ferment the rice water. You can leave the rice water in the jar, and you want to loosely remove the cover. You don't want it to be sealed, because you could have a crack happen in the jar, but you're going to let it ferment for anywhere from 3 to 5 days at room temperature. It will have a slightly sour smell to it. That's your lactic fermentation, and you want to dilute this about once. If you do decide to go with the fermentation method, you want to do 1 part of the fermented rice water to 5 parts of just standard water. Now, if you decide you don't want to do the fermentation method, and it's really a good idea to try it both ways to see which one you like better, but you will have a stronger biological effect with the fermented water. But if you just use the standard rice water, you want to do a 1-to-1 dilution, 1 part of your standard rice water to 1 part regular water. I recommend rainwater, because you can set up a catch pretty easy near a gutter, and so that's going to have still a great effect on your garden soil. So even if you don't want to do fermentation, you can still have a fine effect that takes place with just using standard water, or excuse me, standard rice water. Now, there's 2 ways you can do the rice water in application. You can do a soil drench around a plant that you've already planted, but I would recommend that you put it into the soil and mix it well anywhere from 7 to 14 days before you do your first planting. You know, if you're approaching your last frost date, this is a great idea to get the microbial life more active in the soil. So just remember, you can do it as a soil drench if you already have everything planted. You come across my video, you already have your garden set up. But I would recommend doing this before your last frost, and then that way the soil become more enriched with these microbes. and a lot of other things that I'm going to talk about in just a second. Now, as far as the rice water, the frequency and how long you should do this for, I'd recommend it the first 2 months of growth and about every 10 to 14 days. So once the plant has become established, then you can ease off of it and you should be just fine. You won't be overdoing it there. So 10 to 14 days for the first month and a half to 2 months of the growing season. And one of the reasons you're doing this is you're making the nutrients in the soil more available to the plant. So something so simple as just a little bit of rice water can make a huge difference. You'll see a difference in the greenness of whether you're growing tomatoes or peppers or cucumbers, whatever, squash. You're going to see that the actual leaves look a darker green. So that's one of the things I noticed last year when I tried this for the first time, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm dedicating different areas of each raised bed to each experiment so I can do more experiments and try different ideas and see how they work. So I did try this one last year and I absolutely saw greener foliage on all of the plants that I tried it on. Now I want to give you a close-up of this particular one that's been treated with the rice water. You can see the foliage is very, very dark green, and a couple of the other things you're going to notice is you're going to see if you are transplanting, now this one was started from seed, but if you are transplanting, you'll see a faster recovery and you'll have less transplant shock. Also, you're going to see more microbial activity in the soil, a better smell of the soil. Also, you'll see looser soil. It'll help break down the soil. You wouldn't think that something as simple as rice water could do that, but it helps break down the soil. It's going to improve the water filtration, and as you dig around in the soil, you'll see a lot more of the fungal evidence, the white thready type material that you often find. So you can buy that directly at the store, different types of funguses that you add to the soil for beneficial reasons for vegetables, or you can do this rice water trick and just have it happen naturally. Now let's move on to our cooked rice example. And cooked rice, you're going to put it directly into the soil, and I'll demonstrate that here shortly. But this is going to act as a slow release carbohydrate for the beneficial soil microbes. So this acts just as well, and there's a couple of things you need to take precautions on for potential pests that might happen, and we'll talk about that when I'll head out to the garden in just a minute, show you how I take care of that. But anyways, this is also just as important as the rice water. You could do both, or you could do all three of these, and it will really boost your garden. So let's talk more about cooked rice. Now let's talk for a minute about how you're going to incorporate the cooked rice into your garden. Let's say you're planning on planting your first tomato plant of the year here. So you're going to do about 3 small holes around it, anywhere from 3 or 4 inches deep. And then you're going to put just a little small amount of rice. You just have to shake it out. It's a little sticky there. It's been in the jar for a couple of hours. And just put small handfuls of rice all the way around each little hole. And you have to remember where you've planted this, because you want to center this. You want to center your upcoming plant. You don't want to dig your rice up by accident. That's what I'm trying to say. So you're going to know exactly where you're going to put your tomato, whatever it is you're planting, and that's going to, over time, it's going to break down. So this, again, you're going to bury 3 to 4 inch. Use small handfuls. You're going to cover it completely to avoid pest. And what I will talk specifically about pest, if you have a lot of mice, ground squirrels, other things that might be digging in the garden, you can sprinkle the area with either ground cinnamon or cayenne pepper, or a mixture of both, and that's going to keep any rodents from digging in this area if you put that on there first. So just remember, you can do that and it will make a huge difference for insects or anything getting in there, any kind of rodents. So just remember, you need to mark exactly where you're going to dig in the hole so you don't come back later and dig up your rice, because it's going to break down over time and feed all that beneficial bacterial and microbial life around the plant. Now, we talked about direct soil burial, but there's another method you can use that will be just as good. There's a little bit more of a process involved, but if you'll take a look at this video over here, I'll show you how to turn an ordinary trash can into a composter. But you can add the cooked rice to your composter. That will help with the heating process and the microbial activation. It really works well adding it to a compost bin like this. A lot of people don't think about adding kitchen scraps and things like that to their composter, but it's really an important thing to do. Maybe they do it with some leftover vegetables and things like that, but they might not even think about using rice in your composter. But it's really a very, very good way to speed up the decomposition process for grass clippings and things like that. So take a look at that video. You can learn how to make one of these pretty simple, but that's another way that you can use your cooked rice is in your composter. Now lastly, I'll demonstrate how to apply uncooked rice to your garden. Now this is kind of more of a slow release method. It's going to take a little bit longer. Maybe if you don't want to have an instant boost, if you're afraid that it might be too much for your plants, then you can try something like uncooked. It's going to work a little bit slower, like I said, and the microbial life will come in just a little bit slower because it takes them a little bit longer to break down the rice. So once it gets wet, once you've watered your garden, over a period of about 2 to 4 weeks, you're going to see more activity very quickly in your garden. Now another thing is I'm demonstrating this with white rice, but even better would be brown rice. If you have a lot of brown rice in your kitchen, you want to use some of that, that would be even better. That's going to help strengthen the plant wall over time. So white rice is good, but brown rice is even better. Or if you have white rice that hasn't been polished, if you know there's a process that they go through to make the rice polished. So if you do unpolished rice or brown rice, you might be even more pleased with the results from using the uncooked rice in your garden. Now, as I said, I would demonstrate the uncooked rice real quick. So what you want to do is you just stir up your soil area and then bring in handfuls at a time and just evenly spread this across the soil and then just gently cover it. You can bring in some more topsoil or top dressing, whatever you want to do, and just do that. Again, you only want to do this about once every 30 days, just a broadcast all over your soil area. Let it have time to break down, and there's no worry about planting it right in the middle because you don't have the clumped rice like you do on the other side of the garden. So just plant your tomato, whatever you want to plant there, plant it right there, and then you'll know that all around the area, slowly over time, the rice is starting to decompose and bring in that beneficial soil microbes. Now I want to put this up on the screen because I want you to understand what the soil reaction is and what the plant reaction is. So the soil itself is going to have more fungi to come in and colonize the surface first and work its way down into the soil. Your bacteria will follow once the uncooked rice is softened. Now your decomposition is going to be a little bit slower here, so this may take anywhere from weeks to a couple of months, but the long-term microbial stimulation occurs. And if brown rice is used, it will be even better. So the other thing is, let's talk about the benefits to the plant. Now I'm going to put this on the screen as well. The plant benefits are going to be better root mass, improved nutrient uptake, more stable growth, whether it's tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever you're growing, and there'll be an enhanced resilience to stress. So if you have a really bad heated summer or it's super hot, this particular method of adding this to the soil is going to help stress resistance. So there can also be potentially thicker stems with the brown rice as well. Now I want to say something real quick, that this is not replacing your standard fertilizer. The reason we're doing these 3 rice method is to stimulate and supercharge the soil for microbial life, for fungi to come in, to make the soil richer, and it also helps with that nutrient uptake, as I said earlier. So you're still going to be using whatever your favorite type of plant fertilizer is, but you're actually supercharging or making the soil 100 times better by using this process. You're kind of acting as a decomposition. Instead of having one of these off to the side, you're actually decomposing right there in the soil. You're decomposing something that's just pure starch almost. So that's what I want to say, is that this isn't a fertilizer. I want to make that perfectly clear. So you're not replacing it there. You're just creating a better soil for your vegetables. So I'm going to put on the screen right here, if I can't fit it somewhere around me clearly where it can easily be read, paused and read, I'm going to do a summary comparison of all 3 types, what to expect and what are the benefits. Just a very basic summary of all 3. I would recommend trying all 3 in your garden this year and see how it works. But again, this is just something that I've just learned about in the last couple of years, and it's made a huge difference. In that one particular raised bed that I tried, I had very good results with it. Now in the West, bread is our main staple, one of our main staples of our food, but in the East, such as Japan, rice is a huge component of their culture, and so they've been using these methods in their vegetable gardens, in their home gardens, in their ornamental gardens for a long time. So this isn't something new. It's been around for hundreds of years, and it truly is almost miraculous the results it can make over time when it comes to the microbes living in your soil. So guys, I really appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or comments, I hope you'll become a public subscriber first. I always tend to put those to the front of the line because I get hundreds of questions per week, and it's nearly impossible to answer anybody. If you'd really like to help the channel grow, I'll put a link to the Patreon down below, and there's some free and paid materials inside there, so you could download some material and watch some additional videos in that as well. So guys, I really appreciate you watching. Have a great day.